Guys, it's no secret. Barbell Apparel is my go-to clothing brand. Why do you ask? Well, I'll tell you, because with an athletic build, good luck trying to find clothes that fit properly. Barbell Apparel was built for guys like me. And right now, Barbell Apparel is running their biggest sale ever. Their anything pants, jeans, and chinos are all on sale for just $99. That's $50 below what you will pay the rest of the year. Trust me, Barbell pants are amazing. They're incredibly comfortable and give you the complete freedom of movement. Everything else on their site is 20% off. I wear their polos all the time, and Barbell Stealth hoodies are my favorite. The fabric, the construction, the fit, everything's exactly as it should be. Barbell has sold out 7 years in a row, and 2021 is no exception. So head over to barbellapparel.com. Do it right now and grab yourself some awesome athletic fit clothing before this once-a-year sale is over. Or just click on the link below. Stipe Miocic spoke up, thank goodness. Thank goodness, and why now? Why only now? Stipe should have spoke up yesterday, today, and I should be making another piece on Stipe tomorrow, the day after that, and the week after that. It's the only piece that is missing from his career. The guy is a superhero. If you did not know Stipe Miocic, and I sat down and I told you about this guy, told you about this college baseball player, told you about this educated man who went on and is currently a fighter, serving the public in the midst of a pandemic. Oh, and by the way, he won a world championship of the pros. Like, I could leave so many pieces of that story out, and you'd still think I was exaggerating. And by the way, he's handsome on top of that. Like, this guy is a superhero. He's a character. People like this don't exist. So when you actually are that guy and you do exist, but you're too humble to know it and you don't tell your story, shame on you. And shame on Stipe for not telling his story more often. If Stipe gave people like me, people that are in the media, and I'm charged with bringing you guys the story, if he gave me the smallest amount of ammo, I will shove that clip in a machine gun, cock it, and spray it everywhere. I will get this story out. I will make sure that it's heard. I'll scream it from the rooftops. But he doesn't do that. He doesn't help me. Stipe came out and he was talking about, it had to do with Jon Jones. And he said, I was down for the fight. I don't know the backstory. Sounds like Jon didn't want it. I think when Jon comes back, he's going to fight for a title. He's a really good fighter, but you still got to wait your order. And then he finished this statement, I'm paraphrasing, and he said, I get it, it's just business. No, it's not, Stipe, and no, you don't get it. You absolutely do not. What you just described is sport. The sport and the business are vastly different things. The promoter, by example, will come out and tell you and the world and anybody else that's listening that what he's paying for is a hard fight and heart and grit and the punches and the kicks. Promoters are buying stories. The big fights have the better stories. The guys that the crowd gets behind, that's the business. They have a more compelling story than the person standing next to him. The number one ranked guy didn't just land more lefts and rights. He had a more compelling story than the number two ranked guy. That's the business. And Stipe doesn't understand that. And the Stipe Miocic story is awesome. And it is wrong what happened to him. It was wrong the night he fell down against Daniel. They ushered him out and Brock brought Lesnar in the ring. It was wrong. But it's Stipe's job to tell it. It's Stipe's job to make sure that we know that. If Stipe was offered a fight with Jon Jones behind the scenes and he accepted the fight and Jon did not, that is front page news. If Jon Jones turned down a fight against anybody, it's front page news. If anybody had the balls to step up to fight Jon Jones, it's front page news. Stipe is telling us a story today that allegedly took place 3 months ago. Why am I just now hearing about it? And not for nothing, Ciryl Gane isn't doing the world's best job. Ciryl's a pretty impressive guy, and he kind of comes across on camera well. He seems like he's a cool and interesting guy, but he hasn't actually let us know that. He hadn't done a goddamn thing to build up this fight with Ngannou. And I do mean nothing. Fortunately, the two of them had at one point a mutual coach and shared a practice room together, and that coach has the sense that God gave the geese to come out and tell the people the story, which is very interesting. But thank goodness for that coach, or we wouldn't even have that. Ngannou's not building it, but he doesn't have to. Ngannou is mysterious. Do you guys know why Paul Heyman follows Brock Lesnar around? Do you know why Vince McMahon didn't let Brock talk? It's not because Brock didn't have a good voice, and it's not because he didn't have good wit and he couldn't do a good job. It's because Brock is a monster and monsters don't speak. That is as far as Vince McMahon went with it. I want this guy to remain mysterious. In his real life, and I'm talking about Lesnar now, he does not answer his cell phone. He lives in the woods. He doesn't love to be around a lot of people. So Vince took that, turned it up, and just went with the gimmick of keep this guy isolated, and you bring in Paul Heyman. It's a very good story, whether you guys love that or not. It's a very good story because it can only be applied to certain people. Generally, you have to be out there, you have to be yelling, you have to rip your shirt off and scream with a megaphone, generally. But then every now and then you have a Brock Lesnar. I only submit for you that Francis fits that same bill. Francis is mysterious. And the mystery is frightening because he's a very scary guy. You can talk about who the best fighter is. You can have a good back and forth in a debate. You want to talk about who the scariest guy, use that adjective specifically, Francis Ngannou. For sure. Francis is flat terrifying. And if he was to come out and turns out he's got a bubbly personality, it would actually work against him. If he had some really great story, it would actually start to work against him. The less we know, the better. For now, that's the way it works. So Francis is doing what Francis has to do. I can't give Francis a hard time here. He's going to show up. He's going to bring the people with him. He's going to bring the world championship. Francis gets a pass. Ciryl Gane has a job to do. And so far, he sucks at it. He's 15-0. He's never been taken down. He's a champion. He used to spar with this guy. Some people are wondering, right, who got the best of those sparring sessions? How well do you remember it? And quite frankly, I don't need the truth. I just need a story. I need you to tell me a version through your interpretation and possibly even your own manipulation of the facts. I don't care. I just need to hear from you. I'm not hearing from Ciryl. Ciryl does not have that same mystery. He does not have that same mystique as Francis. You can sit around and complain if your team's Ciryl. It's the reality. I don't create the rules. I just observe them and I come and talk to you guys about it. Ciryl is not that same terrifying presence of Francis, where the less you know, the more scared you get, like the ghost underneath your bed. Francis has that seat. That seat is taken. It's taken by Ngannou. Ciryl is something else. He strikes me as a cool guy. I know that's a weird word to use, but he strikes me as a cool guy. Strikes me as a guy I'd like to hang out with, like sit down and have lunch with, visit with. He just strikes me like that. He has a natural charm. He has a natural charisma. Some of that came through the night that he beat Junior Dos Santos, and Junior was complaining right to his face. Like there was body language and expressions coming from Ciryl Gane that were kind of cool. We're just like, you know what, this seems like a cool guy. I want to hear from him more, but I need to hear from him. This is not a choice. Ciryl accepting a world title fight is him accepting, I'm going to go out and I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to tell my story. He hasn't done that yet, and the clock is ticking. That is a massive fight. Interim versus undisputed is one of the great marketing tools in the history of our sport, and they've got it. Oh, by the way, they're at heavyweight. Oh, by the way, the challenger used to be a training partner, and his record is more beautiful than the champion's. Everything about this works. This is going to draw. This is going to sell. You can just do it by the numbers. But it can be better. It can be bigger. Conor McGregor's talked about this. What's better than a lot of money? More money. What's better than record viewers? A higher record of viewers. And I'm telling you, the things are in place. And Ciryl Gane accepting the match is Ciryl Gane accepting his job in getting that story out there, and he's yet to do it. So you come back to Stipe Miocic, who has this amazing story. He is the greatest to have ever done it. If you want to go paper for paper, note for note, genie pops out of a bottle. I'll give you anybody's career that's ever existed. Who do you want? You're going to put Stipe because you're going to win more championships and more matches than anybody. He is the guy. But I find out today that he was offered a fight that he accepted and Jon Jones turned down, and this was 3 months ago. That's not my fault. That's his. 100%. He says he understands the business, and that's okay why he's overlooked. No, he doesn't. That's the sport. The business is the story. On fight night, whether you're good with the lefts and the rights, you're good with the hooks and the uppercuts, is not what made people tune in. What made people tune in was the story, and that is the business, and that is not what Stipe understands. That's the one part that he misses. I need to hear from Stipe more. I don't need a little bit. Stipe's got other advocates out there, not just me. But I got the biggest audience, and if he gives me a little sprinkle, I will help him the rest of the way. but he's got to help me help him. He can't be getting offered fights with Jon Jones, accepting them. Jon Jones turned down a fight? What? That would be fascinating news. That would be a back and forth to the highest of levels. Jon has such a sensitive ego that somebody put Khabib in the ranking in front of him and Jon lost his mind. Okay, great. We don't have to tease Jon for that. Let's acknowledge that from Jon, and then let's go use that in our advantage. Let's say some stuff about Jon, knowing that he's going to respond and he's Mr. Sensitive. Great, everybody wins. What part of this is Stipe missing?